So a few videos ago, I talked about consulting, freelancing, and what that life is about. I've been loving it. It's been nearly 3 years, maybe 3 years and a little bit that I've been doing it, and I wouldn't go back for the world. And recently, I made changes to both my personal website when it comes to everything Harvey Newman, but also I made changes to, the mentorship side of things. So hopefully I can share the knowledge that I've gathered all over these 3 years plus with all of you that are interested in doing the same. So today, in this video, I would like to talk about some of the things that services and stuff that I actually do and offer, and also how you yourself can actually join me in order for you to do the same. Because for anybody that is interested and is at a crossroads between working for somebody else or working for yourself, maybe this video is useful to you. And if it is, then let's get started and talk about this consultancy freelancing world of animation. Let's do it. Welcome everybody. I hope you guys are doing well. Welcome to another video. Thanks so much for being here. If it's your first time here, my name is Harvey Newman and I like to talk about games. I like to talk about the games industry, and most importantly, this new thing that I actually been doing for the last few years, which I found incredibly liberating, which is consultancy and freelancing. So what I do now with my time is that I don't work full-time for any one studio. Instead, I consult for many different studios. And when people talk consultancy, is a very generic term that involves a bunch of different things. Same thing with freelancing, involves a bunch of different things, and the lines are blurry. What is freelancing, what is consulting, and stuff like that. So I'm going to explain to you guys first and foremost what I consider both freelancing and consulting from my standpoint, from my experience, and then we can go dive deep into some of the things that I do in either or both. So freelancing to me is what I started, is very much like lending your services to actually a company and working as an external resource, right? So you are working for a company, delivering animations to them. That's what I did for quite a while. And then consultancy is much more about giving advice to a company on how to do certain things. So when I started and I left my full-time job, my last full-time job was at a company called Build a Rocket Boy, where I was a full-time animation director. And when I was there, I was very much like not only like managing, but also setting up like a schedule and a path and pipelines and directing mocap shoots and doing all kinds of stuff. So that was it. I left that job and I started doing freelancing. So for me, it was very much about selling my animation services to companies. So this is kind of how I started. And then it went from actually animating to then, wait, if I actually did directing and leading for so long, maybe I can actually just do the directing part, managing and consulting much more than doing the actual animation work. And that is not to do with I didn't want to animate, is that I wanted to use my time as best as I possibly can, which meant that doing the more managerial stuff was much easier to me specifically, and also allowed me to actually kind of like have more than one job if necessary. So this is basically where the consulting started happening. So I had the opportunity to work with a few clients in the beginning, and I worked with Agora, for example. Agora is not just the Agora community. Go and check them out if you haven't. They are really good, amazing resource for animators, but also they have the Agora Studio, where they lend their services to different studios in terms of animation. And I actually was an animation director for them, or animation supervisor, they called it. And they basically allow me to kind of like take over a project, have a bunch of animators under me, and then we actually worked on the project really nicely. So that was the first time that I actually went from actually doing animations for a bunch of different clients to then start kind of like managing and giving reviews and stuff, just like I was doing full-time before. So slow grind, but it kind of like taught me a lot about that this was a much better fit for me in my life personally just now. So then I actually started kind of like diverging into kind of like contacting clients or contacting me, people contacting me because of the YouTube channel about my services, right? If you have done that for all these studios, can you do that for us as well? Now, this is where it gets interesting because I already made a video called Animation Consultancy, What is it? And go and check it out if you haven't. But the gist of it is basically that this YouTube channel basically serves as a promotional tool, not only for me to kind of share this knowledge with you guys and all these other things that I do, but also because when people hear me talking about animation and talking about managerial stuff and all, allows them to see that, the things that I'm saying make sense, and not only because it's practical, because they know, people experience in the industry, they know what I'm talking about is what happens inside a studio, but also is actually something that they need, and they need to bring that experience in. Perhaps they didn't have it yet, and they want to bring somebody like myself to kind of like go be that guy that goes like, actually, there's a better way to go about it, a much more efficient way to go about it, so let's do it. So this is what I've been doing for the last 2 to 3 years, I think. And it's been incredibly fulfilling, because to me, personally, what happens is I actually get to work with different studios, and I actually get to see how they are structured, but also allows me to kind of like quickly adapt to different studios, which is absolutely epic and important for me. What I've learned through my career when I was doing full-time is that when I was jumping from studio to studio after 2 or 3 years or so working in the studio, I learned that by you jumping from studio to studio, you learn to adapt to different people, different work methods, different workflows, different pipelines. And the faster you adapt to those studios, the faster you become indispensable for that studio to kind of like rely on your services. So even when I was working full-time on the studios, for me, it was very important for me to be able to, as quickly as possible, kind of like blend myself within the rest of the team, the experienced people, so I can then start giving value to the project. The only difference between working full-time and now is that I have to adapt myself much faster, because there's contracts, and the contracts have a limited amount of time, 3 months, 6 months, a year, and then you have to basically do the best you can with those 3 to 6 months. Now, the beauty of it, and this is how I like to at least operate, is that when I'm there and I'm those 3 months, 6 months and stuff, and everything is super solid, I like to kind of like work with them as if I was working full time. So it's hard for your brain to get used to it, because when you think it's about 3-month contract or 6-month contract, you kind of think, well, maybe I shouldn't really invest myself so much in the project, because this is going to be finite and you're going to move on to the next thing. But to me, it's very important for me to be 100% in the project, working with the team, trying to help them out. And there's a big part of me that when I work with an animation team, that I see them struggling with different areas, for me, it's really important to help out my fellow animator to have a better life, a better quality of artistic life, I should say, not personal life, but in the studio itself. So it makes me immensely proud to kind of like be the guy or the person or a few people that actually can make a change when it comes to animation. And also you get to showcase how important animation is for a project, because a lot of the projects that I've been involved with before I joined, not me specifically, but historically, the studio has been in a situation most of the time where they need better animations, but they don't know why they actually need better animations. They just know that the game doesn't look as good as others. And also, they don't know the value of animation and how much you can actually extract from animation to make a game a little bit more AAA looking. So my job when I come in is to basically go like, if you actually remove these things, if you add these things, if you start kind of like working in this way, things will naturally get better. And then as the months progress, then we can see that there's change, right? There's like something forming that is better than it was before. And to me, it's incredibly fulfilling when people tell me that, wow, it's great, like really glad that you joined the project, and it's amazing. So in a way, it's almost like my mentorship. When I actually have a student, I don't have a resume, or not a resume, like a guide on exactly like how we're going to tackle the mentorship, because I do feel like every animator is different. So what I do is try to mold myself around the animator so I can help them as best as possible. With consulting, is the same thing. I try to kind of mold myself to the company, to the specific company needs, and then try to help them as much as possible. Now, all of this to say that my main website now has a new tab now that says Animation Consultancy. And if you're interested, either as a person or as a company, you can go over there and check it out, because there's a bunch of stuff that actually is mentioned in terms of my services. So some of the things that I've done, and I'm not going to go through it because the list is quite long, but some of the things that I helped with before has been like mocap shoots, has been as consulting about the pipeline and how to get the pipeline better. hiring, like what kind of animators do you want for the specific project that you have to achieve a specific quality, right? Senior animators, is it like really good hand key animators, is it mocap led animators? So those are kind of things that I help with, and much more, including managerial, directorial information when it comes to a project, how to actually get the animations to be better, giving direction about the animations in the project, in making sure that they are super solid, they kind of hit the design cues that they have. If they're not hitting the design cues, why is it not working? Why are the animations not fulfilling the design of the game? So things like that are the things that I basically help with, and it's always incredibly satisfying to go through them with a company, because every company is a different challenge. And to me, it's very much like sport. I watch basketball a lot, so for me it's very much like, so I'm now part of this team, so what are the problems in this team that I can help solve with my experience? And as much as possible, I'll go ahead and do them. Now, one thing that I have to say that is really important here is that the more experienced you are, the more bias you have, and the more bias you have, the more hard-headed you are. And being hard-headed in this situation doesn't work, because you kind of have to analyze the project before you can give your opinion fully. And that normally takes at least a month or two, if not more, for you to truly understand some of the things that have happened historically in the project that are there for a reason. They might not make sense, but you don't have time to fix them all. And you have to pick your fights and then choose what kind of things can you help in the determined time that you have. And you might have only 6 months for release, so you might have 3 months for release, you might have a whole year for release. And depending on that time and the problems that you have to solve, you kind of have to go, okay, so what can I solve in this amount of time right now? And then you start making a plan, right? And sometimes you have to put your foot down and make some hard decisions. And sometimes you just have to go with the flow and just allow the project to evolve, and eventually things will make sense. It's a really weird dynamic that once it makes sense and when you kind of like celebrate it and embrace it, you can actually really excel at this consulting thing. So all that to say that if your company is looking for animation direction, if your company is looking for any help when it comes to either hiring or mocap or just suggestions on how the project can be better, it can be the one-off, it can be over a certain period of time, let them know that I'm here for them, and let them know that my services are here to help them out, right? You can go to my page, you can go and definitely check it out. If you have any questions, get in touch with me. I'm definitely here for you. And if you don't, definitely spread out the word, because this community is small, and I feel like animation needs to be championed in a lot of games. And unfortunately, as long as I've been around, I don't think animation is championed in most projects as much as it should be. It's a massive amount of work, and also is super important in any game, right? Anything that moves is animation in games. But I still think that people undermine animation and don't count on animation and leave it to the end of the project when it becomes a problem, when the quality is no longer there. So for all those studios, all that people that actually is feeling that way, feeling the pinch a little bit, happy to help out if that's the case. And then if you are looking to actually become the same or do the same and you want more information, or if you are doing the same, either freelancing and consulting, and you are kind of like struggling to find clients, or struggling to keep the clients, or struggling to attract more clients, I actually have a new section on my mentorship website that I have 1 hour for consultancy and freelancing. And this is for all those that are either professional or want to tackle this life and want to kind of like have more information. It's not structured, it's very much an open floor for you to ask questions about exactly what you like to do, or for you to ask questions about how to start and the best steps to take to get to a place where you can be like where I am right now. So definitely check it out as well. I'll leave a link down below to both things, my website and the consultancy advice for all of you that want to purchase it. And normally I don't really promote my own business here in the channel. I like to get straight to the point and help you guys, but every so often you kind of have to kind of like tell people when things expand that there's other things out there that I'm there to help with. And if you guys want the help, or the companies want the help, I'm here to help, and definitely get in touch if that's the case. And that is all I had for you guys today. If you're still here with me, I highly appreciate you, and you are the best. Definitely consider subscribing if you haven't so far. Give it a like because it helps with YouTube, as everybody knows. And drop your comment down below and let me know if you are already consulting or freelancing. And if you're not, are you interested? And if you're not interested, why not interested? And if you are interested, why are you interested? Definitely happy to kind of answer all the comments out there and help you out that way as well. But if you need more in depth, well, you know what to do. All right? Speak to you guys next time. And until next time, as always, stay well, stay safe. Peace.